Wow, what is happening to the NASDAQ and what is happening to Bitcoin, folks, right? Major signals coming right now on Bitcoin, right? We'll get to Bitcoin in just one sec. But what is happening to the NASDAQ? Look at this, right? Major pullback. Who has been calling this, right? I have been saying for the last 3 weeks in these videos of mine that NASDAQ is going to this major pullback, right? We're not there yet. We're not done yet. If you've been watching my Twitter, if you've been watching my videos, especially these long ones that, these 15, 20-minute serious videos, I've been saying NASDAQ is pulling back due to earnings season, right? It's going to disappoint during earnings season. And that's exactly what's been happening. I think we're only maybe halfway there, 3/4 way there. We've got some distance to go. My reasoning was NASDAQ is too overextended right now. Basically, it doesn't matter how good the earnings or it doesn't matter how good the revenue numbers come in to be, the market's going to be disappointed. It's going to sell to take some profits on a pullback. And that's exactly pretty much what's been happening right now. And just a quick reminder that in early January, right, I've also posted quite a few posts about this. Around 23rd, we've been saying that NASDAQ and SP 500 are going to a big bounce or a small bull, right? And that's exactly what has happened so far. Big bounce, small bull. Why do I call it that? Hasn't taken out the new all-time high yet, right? Even if it does, if it goes up another 15% and then turns down, I would still call that a small bull market. Why did my video say that we think the NASDAQ is basically in a lot of trouble right now? It's because it's so extended, valuations are so high, that even if you come in, my words were, even if you come in with a beat in revenue and a beat in earnings, it's still not going to be good enough. The markets could still tank. And that's exactly what happened with some of these major stocks, such as Tesla, such as Apple, Tesla, a couple of these, Microsoft, a couple of these major ones had big pullbacks. Okay, let's quickly go through these charts. Here we go. So NASDAQ overall, if we are lucky, basically it should pull back to this area, this low 350s area. Why? Because that will put it back into the channel, right? Back into the bottom of the channel. So I'm looking for NASDAQ support around this 355 to 350 area because it's being this large channel. If we get, that's the first layer of support, and then you notice there's this channel down here, which is left, right, to accelerate up, or, well, this is 350 as well. So 350 to 345. Let's call it 355 to 345. 350, well, let's say low 350s. The support for NASDAQ is likely low 350s to high 340s, right? Somewhere around here for NASDAQ to bounce and then go up again. So is this a buying opportunity? If you are a short-term buyer, trader of NASDAQ, you want to trade for the next 3 weeks, 3 months, then I would look for an entry somewhere around here, right? Low 350s, high 340s, and then bounce up, right? Might make a double top, right? Might take out this top. This is what I call a blow-off top. Okay, so which means it's when it makes a top later this year or early next year, that's probably going to be the top for the next, I don't know, like 3, 4, 5 years. Right? I think it's US likely heads into recession. I've put it out in a lot of my videos and in my Discord as well. So I've given plenty of reasons on why I think that's happening. So let's go through the individual stocks one by one. So Apple, the big kahuna, for example. Apple. Oh, it's Bitcoin. So we'll get onto that in a sec. For Apple, basically, my target was low 170. We're kind of pretty close, right? It's basically done the exact same thing I was talking about, which is, the earnings came in quite, beating earnings, beating revenue, but it still wasn't good enough. The market pulled back, right? The market sold off. So it's happening exactly as per my forecast. Let's jump to Microsoft. All right. Microsoft is basically also one of those stocks that have been warning about and pulled back. And also see this red line here. That's kind of an important neckline. It's broken that. So it's hitting my first line of support around 316, 317. That was in my last video or the one before that. I said in the last video that the most likely support level is around this 300 to 304 area, right? Okay, and then we might look for a bounce. What I want to make everyone aware is look at the weekly chart. The weekly chart, Microsoft looks scary. And take this seriously because Microsoft is the second largest stock in the world right now. In the US, of course, also in the world. So we look at this. This was the old top back in November 2021. And now this that looks very much like a double top, right? High volume. Look at this candle here, right? Major, whatchamacallit, a topping tail candle, major topping tail, right? Wicks up and dumps on large volume. Look, this is the highest trading volume until selling volume since December last year in 6 months, right? Boom, and then 1, 2, 3, and we could easily get down to 300 to 304 area. So we've been spot on with Microsoft. And think about it, if Apple's going down, Microsoft's going down, these are the two largest stocks of the NASDAQ, of the SP 500. What do you think happens to the rest of them? NVIDIA, basically, come on, this is getting tiring. NVIDIA, okay, in my Discord, folks knows this. I've been saying the support level is around this 400 area. It went straight down to 408, and I do think it'll bounce around this 400, like maybe go slightly lower off the red line and do a bounce. And then the big test comes to see if it breaks down or not. If it does break down, I think it should at least close this gap and get it to around 320. That would be a massive drop. That would create the confidence of this bull market, this small bull run, if NVIDIA, the star of this bull run, was to do that. Okay, moving on. Let's see what else. Amazon. Okay, let's have a look at Amazon. Another one of these. By the way, these stocks I'm looking at are all AI stocks. They're supposedly these big stocks that benefit from AI, which I think is a little bit funny, a little bit ludicrous if you look at how they're not. A lot of them really have nothing to do with AI, and in my Discord I call these the AI 7. Some people call them the Magnificent 7. And by the way, my videos go out to my Discord first, and then after about 2 days, then I put it out onto for public viewing on YouTube. Folks in my Discord should know this. So my previous call for Amazon was on this day, right, when it spiked up, opened up on earnings, very strong earnings, right? I said that looks like it's a top because look at how heavy that selling volume is. Massive selling volume. You'd have to go back to when, like, I don't know, like to November 2022 to see a day, with this much selling volume. And I said, that's probably the top. It should come back in to close the gap at around 128, 129. And now it's slowly coming back, right? Slowly come back. That's what I expect to happen, what I think will continue. That's probably the higher probability play on Amazon. Also, just out of interest, let's see Tesla. Folks on Twitter and on Tesla, in Twitter and in my Discord saw my warning of Tesla hitting 300. Why 300? It's the top of this massive channel. I said short it at 300 and take profit around this 276, 278 area. Sorry, 246, 248 area, because there's this massive red line, trend line, right? The red one that's supporting it. And it's flushed around there, gone sideways, consolidated, flushed down a little bit past my objective to low 240s. And that's looking like a bottoming tail, right? It would be even stronger signal if there was a larger volume on the day. So for now, I think that's likely to be the bottom. and it might have staged a small bounce here somewhere, right? Okay, so now that's so overall. Before I get onto Bitcoin, my take on NASDAQ and the US stocks is that it's been on a small bounce, a big bounce, small bull, as I've been calling it. And then after this, I think it's basically going into another, what I call a blow-off top, which means it's the peak, it's the top for 2, 3, 4, even 5 years to come. Kind of like a major topping situation, and but I don't think this top we had three weeks ago was it. I think we pull back right to the areas that I named, right around 250, around 250 area on the QQQ chart, and then bounces up. So basically one more attack, one more mad, crazy rally to the top, blow off top. When everyone gets bullish, that's the time to get out. When everyone gets bullish, that's the time. Basically, I think it's a major top, right? Coming up later this year or early next year. Okay, let's start with Bitcoin. First of all, we've seen some pretty big signals over the last few days. So I've been trying to evaluate and trying to work out what these signals mean. Okay, so the signal we're seeing on Bitcoin is that there is a huge spike in terms of whales positioning going long. Whales, big Bitcoin whales, crypto whales are going long. See this green line here. Okay, see this green line here, right? It's basically shooting up here, right? And you saw it spike a little bit here, but this is a major spike. If I showed you guys that was Deribit, right? That was the exchange Deribit. This is the exchange BitMEX. These are smaller exchanges, but we can see that these are massive high spikes, right? Of this taker buy sell ratio. I'll explain in a minute what that means. But just keep in mind, the last time we had a signal like this, it was in a similar situation. One, the market was very flat. This was when the market was around 16K. It was very flat, not doing anything. And then whales were betting on it to go up. They went long, and we had this massive run up to 24K. So here, this signal is coming again. Can it be trusted this time, once again? So this is the taker buy sell ratio. And it's actually happening across so many exchanges right now. So for example, this is Hobby Global. We're just showing it again. A lot of whales going long here. This is back in December, and that's when Bitcoin took off. Okay, let's have a look at this one. This is, for example, if we look at this one, BitMEX, we saw the signal, just a few days ago in early August. This one is Bybit. Okay, Bybit also has the same spike up, right? In whale taker buy sell ratio, and this is Deribit. We just saw it, right? Big spike up, and let's see, this one is. Dragging it across. This is Hobby, and Hobby we just saw as well. Okay, so big spike up as well. So all these whales are making long bets, right? We can see it in the taker buy sell ratio. Why is that? Why do I call it whales going long when we see the taker buy sell ratio spiking up? Taker means price taker, right? It basically means like, how when you start to trade and you want to buy something, someone says they want to sell, this stock or this crypto at $1. If you say, okay, I'll buy at $1, then you're the price taker, you're taking that price. Normally, if you're more patient, what you do is you set your price at 99 cents, 98 cents, or 97, 95 cents, whatever it is. And if they're in a hurry to sell, They take your price, right? You're not moving up. They're taking your price. They'll sell it to you at 95, 96 cents. If you're in a hurry and you want to buy, then you take their price. You basically take it at $1, right? You're not waiting for 99 cents, 98 cents, 97 cents. You're just taking it at $1. So when we look at how much volume was traded, right, that day, and how much of the volume of the taker volume was buying and how much of the taker volume was selling, then we can see who's actually in a hurry, the buyers or the sellers, right? And usually, so for example, the chart we're looking at, this is on Hobby Global, right? Normally, the ratio of buy to sell taker volume is, like something like 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, or 0.5, 0.4, hovers around 1, right? Because when they're equal, say 1,000 buys and orders versus 1,000 sell orders, when it's equal, they're basically, that ratio is around 1. Right now, it's spiked up. Say it's spiked up here to 150 to 1. Here it's spiked up to 600 to 1, right? These are major spikes. So, in other words, what that means is basically some whale came in and he didn't care what your selling price is. He just basically says, okay, I will hit that offer. I will hit that offer. I'm not waiting for you to sell it to me. I'll hit that offer. I'll hit that offer. I'll hit that offer. Of course, that also means some people are selling as well because Bitcoin lately has gone flat, right? It's gone flat, as we can see in the price chart here. Bitcoin has essentially gone flat. Let me put it on logarithm charts. It's essentially trading a very narrow range. So this is reminds a little bit of the price action here. Remember, this is the last time. When whales came in and made the bet, right, to go long. Bitcoin is also in a very narrow range, and then it busted up. So right now, the same things happening. Although we do have to take it with a grain of salt. We all know it's been a very narrow range, around 29,000-ish, right? And a lot of whales came in with going long around here, the last 2, 3, 4 days. So is history about to repeat itself? Let's have a look at other parameters to help us decide. So first of all, what I've been saying in my Discord is that I think Bitcoin is essentially in this large rising wedge. Usually in a rising wedge, right? In a rising wedge, prices tend to break down. But I am not expecting it to break down here. I'm expecting it to have one more bounce up, right? To say around 34K, 35K, reach the top of this, right? Of this rising wedge, and then maybe break down. So as I've been saying for a while now in my Discord, I expect it to go from orange marker to orange marker. That basically means, that basically means from this orange marker to this orange marker. So, I mean, this was drawn quite a while ago, like 10 days ago. So I was expecting to go dip, hit here around 28,500, and then go up here, right? So far, it's hovering. The reason why I say this orange marker is because at some point, it's going to hit this blue line, right? And when it hits this blue line, this large, say, blue line, right? It's been support for many 6-7 months now. So this blue line should provide support. Chances are, give it one more bounce. And then you've got this horizontal line as well at around 29,000. Yeah, 29,000, right? At around 29,000, basically, that's also a historical support level. We've seen this level support Bitcoin prices quite a number of times. So chances are, I think we're going for a bounce off this area, right? This 28,500 to 29, essentially high 2800s, mid to high 2800s area, bounce off here from orange marker to something like orange marker. Might take longer, but that's what I'm thinking for now. Although nothing is 100%, We're always talking in terms of probabilities. If you can be 100% confident in something, then just go, then people would go all in, and you only need 3 or 4 trades like that to 1000x, to go 100x or 1000x and make yourself mega rich. Obviously, we don't do that. Even when we're confident, we say, this is probably, I would say right now, looking at other information, this is probably, I'm leaning, say, 65% that this is a move up from here. The other factor we got to look at is the US dollar is on a rampage right now. What could spoil this party is basically, let's have a look at first let's have a look at the US 10-year Treasury yields. 10 years Treasury yields has been spiking up. That's the 30-year yields spiking up. 10 years also spiking up. So, if you're watching me on Twitter, if you're watching me in my Discord, I've been warning about this, even though nobody saw this coming and it didn't make any sense. I said, hey, this looks like a bull flag, even though as crazy as it sounds. Inflation's falling, but I'm still thinking US 10-year Treasury yields and 30-year yields are spiking up, even though it does make sense. That's what the chart's telling me, and so far it's playing out that way. And because of this, it's caused the US dollar to spike up as well. If you're in my Discord, you know that the target I've given for US dollar is low 103, and we've just hit that. That's low 103, right? We've just hit that. Why low 103 area? Because one, we've got this trend line coming here, right? It's bounced it off it a number of times. 2, we've got this horizontal, right, support line, right? It's given Bitcoin support quite a number of times. So now it becomes resistance. So that's talking in terms of probabilities. I'm not 100% confident on this. I will never say I'm 100% confident on this. But the higher probability, probably like 60%, 65% higher probability is US dollar index hits this level, bounces down to around 100, right? Say 105, 100.5, 100.8, right? Just below 101. And then the opposite happens on Bitcoin, right? You've got this downward wedge on the US dollar. I'm thinking one more pullback and eventually bounce up. And then the opposite happens on Bitcoin, which is a rising wedge, right? Bitcoin is the opposite of the US dollar, a rising wedge. So US dollar pulls back, then Bitcoin bounces up, right? And then eventually hits its target, bounces off the high end of the rising wedge and breaks down as US dollar breaks up. If you guys have been following me for a while, you should know what I'm talking about, because the US dollar moves kind of in the opposite direction to Bitcoin. Not always, but it's a strong indicator. Okay, so just to keep in mind, for my last week's video, one thing we've got to keep in mind is what I call the stablecoins dominance, stablecoins ratio, or stablecoin dominance. Stablecoin dominance basically shows, come on, all right, I've got to do this. Here's stablecoin, stablecoin, okay. Stablecoin dominance ratio, here we go. This is how much stablecoins is in the system, expressed as a percentage, and usually, let's compare it to Bitcoin price chart. Usually what happens is, okay, the orange one is Bitcoin price. Usually what happens is this. You have basically every time when the stablecoin ratio is really high, that means there's a lot of money sitting on the sideline, then Bitcoin has bottomed, that money comes in, and Bitcoin takes off. When the stablecoin ratio is really low, right, when it's really low, that means there's not much stablecoins left. There's not many people sitting on the sidelines with a lot of cash. That indicates the top in price. When it comes to the bottom of this range, right, Bitcoin tops, right? Where are we right now? It's at the bottom of this range, right? So it's indicating to us maybe Bitcoin's got to pull back. Keep in mind, this is only one indicator, right? So this is saying the opposite of the signals I just showed you guys, right? The whales, what I just showed you guys with these charts, it's saying the whales are placing a big long bet, and they tend to be right. This chart is the stable coins, right, ratio, or stable coins dominance, and it also has a pretty good track record of being correct as well. But it has a weakness, right? And without going too much into detail, I analyzed this signal in last week's video, and I'm saying it might bounce up. If it bounces up here, it means Bitcoin goes down. But there's a chance it could actually keep on break this channel, right, and keep on going down. If that happens, Bitcoin rallies up. So we have two indicators, one saying Bitcoin's topped, one saying Bitcoin's about to push up. Let's have a look at the third indicator. As I'm saying, nothing is 100%. So the third indicator is Bitcoin volatility. Right. This is when we measure the volatility of Bitcoin. And right now, you can see it's very low volatility, because Bitcoin's essentially been moving in, acting like a stable coin around 29,000. It's been going flat. So it's very low volatility. What happens when there's very low volatility? That's true at two levels. So one is this, one is here. It's when it's see this red line here? This is when Bitcoin is in ultra low volatility zone. It only happened like 4 times in recent history for the last 5 years, since 2018, 2019. Okay, that's it. Let me change the color so then you guys can see it better. Okay, I just changed them to blue. So orange is Bitcoin price. When this thing dips below, right, this 2.7 level, let's say, 2.7 level, what happened to Bitcoin price this time? Bitcoin price was flat, and then it crashed, right? It was a big tank. Okay, second time this happened, it hit this 2.7 area, super low volatility, right? Bitcoin took off, right? So it crashed the first time, took off the second time. Then again here, came into super low volatility, Bitcoin went flat. Didn't exactly take off, but this was a big pump up and then pull back, right? At least the next move was a reasonably big pump up, right? And then again, this was in December last year, super low volatility, as I just showed you guys. Bitcoin went sideways, and then Bitcoin, of course, pumped up to 24K. So now, once again, it's hit this 2.7 level, and Bitcoin's gone flat. So keep in mind, how many times has this happened? This has happened 4 times right now, right? 4 times. And basically, did I press the wrong? Okay. It's basically, this signal has hit 4 times. First time, Bitcoin crashed. 3 times, Bitcoin pumped. Or sometimes a major big pump, sometimes a small pump. So this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Nothing is 100%. If you have a signal that is 100%, right, then you just go all in, max long, and after about you make 10x on the trade, and then you do that again a month later, another 10x, and you do that again, a month later, another 10x. So that's 10x by 10x, 10x. That's 1,000x in 3 months. You could be multi-millionaire very soon if you were to be 100% short. And of course, I'm telling you guys, that's not going to happen. Right? Don't be foolish. No signal is 100% short. Right? The signal I just showed you guys, that's a very reliable signal. It only worked 3 out of 4 times. So let's look at this signal. Let's take the parameters back. Let's examine this signal, and let's see, where is it? Google. Yeah. Okay. Let's see we track more of these signals. Let's see if we don't go as low as 2.7. Let's say if we go, what if it hits like this 4.2 area, 4.15? Maybe that's already low enough volatility. Okay, let's have a look. This time, Bitcoin rallied. This time, low volatility, Bitcoin rallied. When's next time it hits? Okay, here, it hits, and this was the really deep one. Bitcoin crashed. Okay, here it hits. Well, it was a small rally, but then bigger rally after that. Here it hits again, big rally. Here it hits, Bitcoin dumped. So this is September 2019. Signal hits, right, 4.115-ish area, and Bitcoin dumps. Let's see, when does it hit again? Here it hits, Bitcoin takes off. When's next time? Okay, here it hits, right? Bitcoin, it's a 10% move. It's not a huge move, but it does go up 10%. Here it hits again, right? And then Bitcoin takes off. Okay, so, one more. Here it hits again, Bitcoin tanks. But that was back in November 2022. That was when FTX came out, and FTX went bankrupt, Sam Bankman-Fried, all that sort of stuff. So that's when a Bitcoin, the signal failed, and there was actually a crash afterwards. But that was due to an event that no one could have predicted that was going to happen that day. So low volatility and Bitcoin crashed. That's 3 instances where it crashed. When's the next time it hit? All right, this time it hit, obviously, Bitcoin made a major bounce. This time, right, once again, Bitcoin at least moved up. It wasn't a major move. From signal came when Bitcoin was around here, around 27,000, now went to 31,000. Okay, it was like 15% move, and now we have this signal again. So, now, having just gone through that, when we take the really stringent, when we take the lower signal, which is more stringent selection process, 4 times the signal came, 3 times it pumped, 1 time it crashed. When we take less stringent signal level, when we say use 4.15 as the signal level, what we saw was that Bitcoin basically had 3 times the signal dumped, but the other 6 times, 7 times, it actually pumped up. So in generally, what we could say is, again, this signal is not 100%, but when Bitcoin hits low volatility, it tends to pump with a 2-to-1, maybe even 3-to-1 probability. So 2-to-1, 3-to-1, that's something like 65%, 66% of a pumping, 34% of a dropping, right? So that's a third indicator. Right now, we have one indicator, the stable coin, saying it's probably going down. Bitcoin's topped for now, like a local top. We have the whales going long. That signal is telling us it should pump. And we have the signal we just saw, which is called the volatility measure of Bitcoin volatility signal. That's showing us Bitcoin is low volatility and 65-70% chance it should push up, right? So all in all, looking across all these 3 signals, I am leaning towards Bitcoin pushing up. I would still say my prediction is Bitcoin pushing up to say 31.5K, maybe even a higher, breaks to 34, 35K from the orange marker to the orange marker. When am I wrong? I think I would be wrong if the US dollar was to spike above 103 and keep going. Then I don't think Bitcoin is going to make that push up. In fact, I think then it's going to break down. So I hope you guys got that. I've been very clear. I think it's chances are favors a bounce in Bitcoin off that big blue trend line, right? Off 28.5 to mid to high 28K, right? Into about 34, 35K. And I could be wrong if US dollar breaks up above 103, right, for a major run. let's say if it gets to mid 103s, like 103.5, 103.7, if it gets to there, then I would rule out the probability of a massive Bitcoin run or a Bitcoin bounce. And I think Bitcoin is going to break down. Okay, so hopefully that's been helpful to you guys. This is Pablo Heyman. Follow me for the next update. Catch up. Bye-bye.